This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
And here we go.
Live from the bell tower, taking a stand for your rights, your liberties, and all the bullshit in between. You're listening to Ring the Bell Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Break the Bell Podcast. Bill, I haven't seen you in a long time, and I still don't see you.
It's the new year, so
There you go.
Later than normal.
What's your acronym?
And I believe it's strengthening.
How about now?
That sounds good.
I don't know. It's a new year. I mean, let's kick the new year off right by having everything screwed up as soon as we go to
as
kick
you
it off.
said, has it been a month since we did this? It's pretty close
It
to
was
right?
it was the Christmas thing.
Yeah,
but
which I don't remember what day that was.
it was like whatever the week.
Yeah,
Monday
17th,
before
18th.
Christmas.
It was the 18th. So
So not quite a month. And then you bailed on us last week.
Well, I know. I was
You're
being
like,
a pussy.
it's snowing out. I don't want to drive in the
I know.
snow. It's
Yeah.
Iowa. But you're not from the Midwest, though, are you? But you lived in
No,
Alaska,
I lived in
though.
Alaska,
God.
northern New York.
You're
and
like,
I was just being a
bitch. You're
Yeah.
just being a
I
bitch.
was just being a bitch. Yeah.
Speaking of being a bitch in Iowa, Iowa's done a lot to just like totally like screw us up the ass.
Yeah.
This week and last week. I mean,
Yeah.
we're sitting in 2024 snow apocalypse.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we went through December in the whole country.
It
It's
was
not
like
just
spring.
Iowa. The
Right.
whole December was like the warmest December in 120 years or something. Like, well, this is evidence of global warming.
I went to Alabama at Christmas, and it was like the same temperature as it was up here.
And then we come to last week, and Mother Nature was like, let's give them all of winter in the next
Yeah,
2 weeks.
Right now, boom.
Yeah. So we
winter.
got like 4 days straight of constant snow and blowing,
Yeah.
and then it was still in like happy 30s.
right.
And then it hit like 2 days ago, and it dropped to like negative
Yeah.
degrees out.
right.
Like there's no way else to describe it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, I don't know if your cars started. Ours, surprisingly, like I was out
yeah.
this morning at like an hour before work because I was like, I haven't started my car in
Right.
2 days, or my work van in
Yeah.
2 days. I don't know if it's gonna run. And surprisingly, it did.
That's good. I had to
Um,
jump mine a couple like every day this weekend. I had to jump my work truck,
I have not had to jump.
and I'll
a
probably have to
single
jump it tomorrow too.
vehicle yet. But even worse than that, I have like today. Not only are we coming to terms with it's freaking winter in the Midwest. It's cold. I thought we were kind of past
No,
this shit.
no, I knew it was coming.
But we also have to come to terms with it's election season.
Yes, today kicks off officially, even though they've been blowing the fuck out of my phone for the last 2 months.
I know.
The caucus season,
It's
election
caucus-
season.
It's cock season. There's a hair on my mic.
It's not mine.
Like every time I get close to it, like
yes,
tickles my nose. And
and in the spirit of caucus season, and
there is
also
no. There's
No.
no spirit. It's
and
Just Satan
because
of
I
caucus
kind of I fucked up and didn't get this to you for Christmas. So this is
Oh.
a belated Christmas / Hawkeye cockeye gift.
Hawkeye cock eye gift. I have a gift for you too, but wasn't nice enough to bring it down here. Oh, do I get to open it here?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's still in the Amazon package.
I know, right?
That's some fancy wrapping there. Let's see what we got here. Oh, that is awesome. It is a official Donald Trump. The light's reflecting off it.
It is.
Flipping off America. Is that what he's flipping
Yep.
off? I assume that's what he's flipping off. Holding a "Make America Great Again" flag, and says, "Hey, assholes." That is fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This will go on my pile of shit back there. Oh, geez. There's all kinds. There's 2 signs.
Yeah, you can change out his side.
There's a sign that says, "Hey, fuckers." There's a sign that says, "I win again," and "I'm president," and "Hey, assholes." I don't know. Which one should I use today? I should switch it up every week.
You should. You should.
I'm definitely opening this up so people, because it was reflecting off. Here we go. There we go. Look at that. Everybody, this is great. This is great.
Oh, it comes
Hey,
with the mask.
assholes. Oh, it's a mask. Oh, I'm going to wear this too. I mean, in true Trump fashion, because he did nothing to not fuck up COVID, we might as well have this nice MAGA face mask that I'm going to podcast on, and you're just not going to understand me the rest of the time. Jesus Christ. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. You can go over here with Bob Ross.
Very nice. Bob Ross and him would probably get along famously.
Yeah, maybe. All right. I just throw the shit on the floor because that's where shit goes here. So it's officially caucus season. The caucus. I don't know if you saw how I spelled that out.
I did.
Iowa
Yeah. When you sent me the
Caucus.
message, I caught it right away.
Yes. I mean, because that's more or less what it's doing.
Yes.
This election cycle is doing to us. It's a big FU
Yeah.
to America. It is obviously the election to end all elections, as they
Right.
all are. It's obviously like a threat to democracy, as
Right.
all voting is a threat to democracy these days for some reason. Oh, we got people here.
Nice.
Derek Ambrose says, "Oh, thank God Tim Cast was getting annoying already, and it just started." And JC says, "OMG, hi, Derek." And now they're conversing back and forth. Soulness that is cock is season. Sure. Soullessness that is cock is season. I think it's cock us season.
Yes.
I think that's what he meant to spell out, because again, that's what this has become in the end, is just a major bend over, grab your ankles and take what we give you.
Yeah.
And whether it's a fist or a boot or whatever,
They're trying to definitely give us the fist.
they're giving us something, and they just expect us to grab our ankles and take it. I don't know. I kind of like winter. I've kind of just been putting this out of my head.
Yeah.
This is probably the longest. I mean, we've discussed little bits and pieces here and there. This is the longest I've gone where I'm just like avoiding like the plague politics, even the texts and stuff. I'm just like avoiding the shit out of them.
And today it's like every 15 minutes, someone was trying to call, or I was getting texts.
I know.
And it's like, fucking leave me alone.
I know. Where's the privacy these days? How do we vote that out?
Yeah, exactly.
So I will vote for whoever gets rid of the robotext from the politicians. But yeah, I've just been kind of putting it off, and then finally, like this morning, I woke up and they're like, it's caucus day, and you of all people were like, "No, what we should do today." You said this like last week. You're like, "We should go to the Iowa Caucus and live stream," and I'm just like, "How are we gonna do that?" You're like, "I don't know. We can figure it out." And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I'm glad I wasn't even thinking about the fact that it's going to be like -50 outside.
Right,
I don't want to leave at all. I'm layered in my basement here. I'm
well, I know you were in your Hugh Hefner garb when I got here.
Yeah, I had a bathrobe on, a big fluffy bathrobe, and I was like, I'm debating on keeping this on too. But election cycles, we have all the best choices, the bigliest choices. All the best choices have come out, and the best choice is obviously Donald J. Trump, because Donald J. Trump is the only choice. So obviously all the best choices came out because I came out, and I am all the best choices. First of all, before we even get to Iowa caucuses, this is still the pre-show, but your initial thoughts, like what comes out of this, like who is going to be sitting on those D and R platforms in November?
I as much as I don't want it to be, I think it will be Trump, and I think the Democrats are going to pull a switcheroo.
You think?
I think they're going to be like,
switch?
They're going to be pushing up Biden, and then he's either going to have a stroke or something's going to happen where they're going to say he is, and then they got to switch him out at the last moment, and then they're going to be like, hey, let's do this for Joe.
Hey, Joe, is your face feeling a little numb? He's like, no, not any more than usual. It's like, no, it's feeling numb. And you're looking a little droopy on the side there. No, I'm doing good. Boom. Joe Biden died of a stroke today.
Exactly. I can't see him being the Democratic.
He can't be.
He can't.
He couldn't do it in 2020.
No.
The only saving grace for Joe Biden in 2020 was COVID because
Yeah.
he got to sit in his basement the entire time while other people
and all the mail-ins and all that shit.
But he has no like excuse.
No.
Unless they kick off this new, which Klaus Schwab, I guess, this week was warning, or they're planning on doing like training for Virus X.
Yes, yep. I saw something pop up on I watch him every so often. I only take so much of them, but Russell Brand was talking about like Virus X is popping up, and this week is Davos.
So great.
They're going to work out the details this week, I sure.
Yeah, we'll find out. I want to put it past them to sneak in a sneaky little election cycle virus.
Right.
We got. Did you hear about the latest Pizzagate scandal of this year? The Jew tunnels in New York.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
we got those. So we're getting all of them. We're getting the 2016 Pizzagate, which we're going to get kicked off just for saying that word. We've got the 2020 virus coming up.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of wars out there to choose from now.
Yes.
And Hunter Biden scandals, like the laptop of 2020 is coming back up conveniently in 2024.
Yeah.
So
it's the same shit.
But they're like compiling different election cycles. Like, let's take all the shit from all the elections and pile it in 2024.
And
so
maybe they're going to throw Hillary's email in there somehow.
Oh, obviously Hillary's email has
collusion
to be involved. Yes. So we're going to talk about obviously the Iowa Caucus, and then talk about some of the people that are still supposedly in standing. Like your boy's still like hanging on by a thread, and he thinks he's going to disrupt some
I
shit.
talked to a guy today it was a gun shop up in oh gosh, where was it? Was it Vinton? Which is a cool shop. You should check it out. He had a lot of really cool shit. Anyways, I was asking him, I'm like, oh, so what do you think about Ramaswamy? I don't even remember his name now.
Vivek.
And he's like, well, he's not American. And I'm like, well, he is actually. And he's like, no, you know what I mean? He's not American.
He's one of them brown folks.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't elect. Can you imagine a Republican Party putting up a brown folk?
Yeah, right.
I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's funny. That's like so like 20 or 2000. Was it 2006 that Obama came into office?
08.
Yeah. That was the like. Well, did you hear his middle name's Hussein?
Yeah.
How can we elect somebody with the name Hussein?
I think he's one of them Muslims.
He's one of them Muslims. He's related to Saddam Hussein. We can't have one of them.
Obama sounds too much like Osama.
He ain't American. And then obviously I still wonder about the whole birth certificate thing because that was just one of those things. Like, I don't fucking care at this point. Like, what are we going to do about it now? Even if they came out, they're like, dude, he was born in Kenya.
Yeah.
And he faked it. It's like, what are we going to do now? Like denounce his 8 years of presidency?
Yeah.
Just take it back?
Yeah. We're going to just undo everything he did. Oh, wait. We pretty much already did.
What are we just going to like rewind and be like, well, you didn't win. Actually, McCain won. Yeah. So now we got to undo all these, we got to undo the Obama era. We've got to undo the Trump era because Trump era would never happen if it wasn't for the Obama era.
Yeah.
And the Biden era certainly would have never happened if Trump never won because Biden was his VP.
So we just have to throw GW back in there, right?
Yeah, or throw John McCain's corpse in there.
There you go.
I mean, it can't be any
worse. Romney. It's kind of the same thing.
There you go. So that's what we're going to talk about in a nutshell. Yes. A very large nutshell. And obviously it'll go off the rails because I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I could spend the rest of my life not talking about an election cycle ever again, but I feel like it's going to get interesting. So
I think it is. I think it's going to go off the rails insanely. And the Democrat Party, I think they're going to collapse on themselves.
Oh, they are collapsing on themselves. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk some Iowa Caucus tonight. So make sure you check us out all over social media. Share us far and wide. We'll try to share ourselves more. We've been kind of slacking. We've been slacking.
We've
on
had
everything.
A lot going on.
Yeah, I mean it's busy.
Yeah,
it's a new year. New us, probably old us, but new year.
Old us, but new attitude. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
It's cold out.
Trying.
It's cold out. I don't have a lot of, and it's caucus season, so I don't have a lot of positivity. But share us far and wide anyway. Help us spread the word. Because we are the most important thing on the internet right now. So do that. Check us out over social media at our handle at Break the Bell Pod. Smash that like and subscribe button. Smack it hard. And yeah, we'll love you for it more than we love the Iowa Caucus. So we'll be right back after this short intro video.
What did you say?
talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What did you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
We're back. It's Iowa. It's today. The Iowa Caucus is
It's
upon
the one
us.
time Iowa gets to be in the national spotlight.
I know. It's like Iowa gets to feel important.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
For 5 seconds. Did you hear what Nikki Haley said the other day, though?
No.
Nikki Haley, on the build-up to the Iowa Caucus, which is the biggest Republican Party thing, the Democrats have gone as far to say, hey, it's not that big a deal. We're going to start somewhere else this year. But the Republicans know that Iowa is kind of the heart and soul. Like, it just is the embodiment of Republicans. It's farmers, it's white-collar work or blue-collar workers, I should say. It's the rural folk and a little bit of the inner factory worker type folk, but not the big city East Coast, West Coast feel. So they know that it's important. But except for, like, you remember when Rudy Giuliani's like, fuck Iowa.
Yeah, right. That worked
out
well for him, though.
I'm just going to bank on some of these other bigger states. I don't even know where Iowa's on a map.
Yeah, which is most New Yorkers.
And you never heard from him again.
Yeah.
Now, Nikki Haley came out some point this week or last week, recently anyway, and was like, the New Hampshire caucus is where we correct what went wrong in Iowa, pretty much.
No, she didn't. So she already knows she's going to lose Iowa.
Yeah, I guess. But it's just like, even if knowing that, like, what a shitbag thing to say.
Yeah. Well, I got a text like a couple hours ago, and it was like, big headline. Former retired pastor and religious leader, I don't even remember his name, has decided to stop following DeSantis and follow Nikki Haley.
Oh, yeah?
The momentum is switching. And I'm like, really?
For what? Just because of one guy?
Yeah.
The momentum.
One guy that I've never heard of.
A surge in momentum?
Yes. Yeah.
What's really sad is even Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis know that all they're doing tonight is fighting for second place.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's all of them are doing.
And I think they're all just banking that charges will drop and Donald Trump will get disqualified because they know they don't really stand a chance. So if they can fight for that second place spot, they know that their only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is Donald Trump getting thrown in prison.
I bet you money somewhere in Iowa, Donald Trump is going to show up in Iowa somewhere tonight.
Oh, he probably is.
He's going to parachute into Des Moines or Cedar Rapids maybe or Davenport and be like, I'm here, bitches.
Now, apparently he had Casey's Pizza for the first time the other day. They're like, you should try this Casey's Pizza, man. And he got a bunch and took them to first responders over the weekend when he was like campaigning in Iowa, and he tried a piece and he's like, oh, this is really good pizza. Do you think a New Yorker is going to ever declare Casey's Pizza as good
Holy
pizza?
Shit. That is as Iowa as you get. No New Yorker, self-respecting New Yorker is going to say that.
He only said that to win your votes, people.
Yes,
he's a liar. He is full of shit. He does not like your Casey's Pizza.
No.
Do not listen to him. And because of those lies, we know that he will be a terrible president. Now, if he had come out and been like, this pizza is crap.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys like it, but you don't know better. I'd have a little more respect for the man.
Like, I guess it's okay for Iowa.
I mean, that wouldn't be wrong, though.
Right.
It is okay for Iowa. But no New Yorker is going to That's how you know he's a politician.
Exactly.
Because no New Yorker is going to come here and be like, KC's really is good pizza. You're right. This is the best. Have you tried the taco pizza? Taco pizza is the best. The best taco pizza I've ever tried was right here in Iowa. Do you think he's going to go back to New York and be like, hey, guys, I've had an epiphany. I had the best pizza, and it wasn't from here. And you guys got to go to Iowa. You got to try this KC stuff. It is the biggest and best pizza.
I'm gonna buy Casey's and bring him to New York so you can try it.
Yes. Derek says, but Casey's is famous for pizza. The box says so. Yeah, because they have nothing else to go on.
Yeah. Even Hillary would have been like, pizza's okay, but it's a good thing I brought my hot sauce.
Yes. And she's here. She's like, I keep a whole slice of pizza in my in my purse just to freaking pander to the Iowans. Now, sidetracked. Did you see that ad on Facebook? I've seen it like 2 or 3 times, and it's like, stop trying to stuff a slice of pizza in your pocket. He's like stuffing. He's like, have you ever had this problem? And it's like a sweater with like a pizza pocket, like a zipper pocket that's pizza shaped on. I was like, you know what? Every day I'm like, you know what? I'd really wish this pocket, my jeans would fit Casey's pizza in it.
I haven't seen that ad.
It's better than all the political ads that are out there.
I'm sure it is.
We got to focus. Today, we're forced to admit that the 2024 election cycle is it's not beginning. It's like underway.
It's here.
Before we're like, yeah, it's kind of an election cycle. Now it's like we're in the throngs of election cycle. And like you had mentioned, the phone spam.
Yes.
The thing that pisses me off about the phone spam. First of all, I've never seen phone spam like I have this primary election, especially not for the primaries.
Right.
We saw it. We probably said the same thing back in 2020. It's like, man, the phone spam and the ads are just outrageous. But I don't remember the primaries being this phone spam heavy. And the thing that pisses me off is you'll get Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis or even Vivek. I haven't got any from Trump, surprisingly.
I've gotten calls from Trump.
Really?
Yeah.
From him personally? He's like, hey, Bill.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
I need you bigly.
I need you. I need you to vote for me. Now, the thing is, you'll get the ad pop up. It's like, oh, Nikki Haley. Reply stop to stop these ads.
Yep.
Stop. Within 5 minutes today, I get an ad, same ad from a different fucking phone number.
Yep.
It's like, it's an invasion of my privacy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me want to vote for you. It makes me hate you that much fucking more.
Yes.
Like, I just, like, my blood boils inside of me when, like, I could see you attempting it once or twice, and then somebody texts stop, and like, oh shit, we lost this one. You know, if you text stop once, you think that would be a hint.
Yeah.
That they don't want your time, your attention. Another thing, I've seen quite a few canvassers, like actual physical canvassers
I
out,
haven't
like
seen any of those.
hanging shit on, or like. This started early. This was back in like September. I think I got my first like door salesman type. Hey, are you voting? Blah blah blah. It's like, no, just go away. 2 nights ago, in the fucking snowstorm, somebody knocks at our door. Our dogs start going crazy as they do. I glance out the window and I see them holding their pamphlet, and I'm like, nope. And then they knocked again, and I just turned the TV up. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry that you.
Yeah.
Got yourself out in this weather, but I'm not putting myself in this situation. I don't want to talk to you about it. I want nothing to do with it.
Right.
So the caucus started today.
Yes.
Have you said you haven't got any physical canvassers though?
No physical canvassers.
It's like old school throwback.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. It was like it's like the Mormons or the Jehovah's Witnesses at my door.
Have you considered making Donald Trump your Lord and Savior?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, do you know the difference between a caucus? Like, do you know what a caucus is? Because
I've gone to a caucus.
I'm sure you have. Not the verb caucus, like we keep using it. A caucus. Now, I had always kind of assumed until I think 2020 is the first time I really knew what a caucus was. Sure. Versus a primary. I thought they were the same, one of the same. Straw. It used to be called a straw poll.
Right.
Was that the same thing as a caucus?
No.
So what was the straw poll? Because I never understood
the
that.
Straw
that sounds so fucking Iowan.
The straw poll is basically like, basically you just like write down a name and put it in like a straw hat type thing.
So like Iowa voting,
Right.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Now a caucus,
I went to the caucus in 2016, and I went with Ted Cruz at the time.
A caucus sounds so much worse than primary.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go away just because so many
I've heard
people
of fights breaking out.
So many people want them to go away. So I just want them
don't.
to stay because, specifically Democrats want them to go away because free and fair elections. And I'm just like, well, then we need to keep the caucus. I think we should bring the straw poll back. But
I'd be down with that too.
So I have this. Why are the Iowa caucuses so important? But this gets into what is a caucus and the difference between the two. And there's a few interesting points in here I want to make. Pretty much the difference is primary is people cast a vote. Caucus is people getting arguments and fights.
Oh yeah, right. They try to convince other people in their little precinct who they should.
Yeah, and you are a participant of it. You can participate in the argument and stuff as long as you're there.
Yeah.
Geez, away,
it's almost like a jury type thing where you're like sitting trying to convince people that someone's guilty.
So this starts out. Let me try to get this to share. This is from CBS News. It says Republicans are in a fierce competition as they have crisscrossed all Iowa's 99 counties ahead of Monday's caucuses. Prominent Republicans have made extensive efforts to court Iowans, but going into the caucuses, former President Donald Trump is maintaining a substantial lead over his rivals in the polls.
Which is, something that I think they're all saying, except for Trump, obviously, because he's leading in all the polls, is everybody saying the polls are wrong.
Well, obviously. The polls probably are wrong because the only people that participate in the polls are people that give a shit.
I haven't participated in a poll.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy have traveled extensively in the state in an effort to close the gap. And in recent weeks, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, the bitch, has also been campaigning in Iowa. When are the Iowa caucuses? They're today, just so you know. They're today. We don't have to cover that.
Right now.
So this has an interesting point, though. It says the Republican Party will hold caucuses Monday, today, at 7 p.m. Central Time, which is right now, literally right now. Iowa Democrats are holding a caucus on the same day, but they're opting for voters to choose their candidate entirely by mail-in ballot this election cycle and will release the results on Super Tuesday on March 5th.
Yeah,
so their caucus
sounds shady as fuck.
Well, their caucus doesn't count for anything, pretty much. They're gonna do something and have a caucus and say we're participating in the Iowa caucus, but they're not gonna vote on it today. They're going because they want New Hampshire to be the kickoff.
Right.
I mean, their rules.
Right. It's East Coast, right? It's their territory.
Right. So they're actually going to have mail-in ballot elections, and I haven't even heard of any of their candidates being around in the area to caucus this week.
I've seen a lot of. I mean,
they don't give a shit because they know they're not going to win Iowa.
Oh yeah,
anyway.
right, exactly. But still, I mean, you would think like, I don't know. I mean, Iowa's got enough liberalness, I guess. Well, they wouldn't like Kennedy anyways. But you'd think somebody in Iowa City's got to be like, Biden's not that liberal. He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
And so we want somebody more liberal.
You would think,
right?
But it doesn't sound like
they're going to even get a chance
give
to
a shit about Iowa.
They don't care what you want. You're getting Biden.
It says Republican. It says following the chaotic events of the 2020 Democrat caucus, Iowa Democrats have overhauled their caucus and presidential delegate selection.
How was it chaotic?
Now, I forgot, I had to look this back up. I kind of forgot about this. Remember, they were going to, because it was 2020,
right?
They were going to do a virtual caucus, and they were going to do like phone call-ins and stuff. It was all virtual. At the last, 11th hour, they decide this virtual caucus isn't really working, so they kind of canceled it and just did phone-in things. They released like an app of some sorts, and it just was terrible.
Yeah, it bombed,
and people were suspicious of hacking and stuff like that, and all of it. And the app was just so piss poor quality that, and there was just no the results didn't come out for 3 weeks or something, and so
people were pissed.
This year they're overhauling it by saying, fuck it,
we're not even doing it.
We're not doing that.
If you can't get along, you can't have nice things.
Says President Biden and his team will instead prioritize South Carolina as the initial state in the lineup, succeeded by New Hampshire and Nevada a week later, with Michigan following. Originally, the plan included Georgia holding a primary just before Michigan, but Democratic efforts to advance their date faced resistance from Republicans in the state of Georgia. And they're facing quite a bit of backlash over the voter shit right now in Georgia.
Right.
So they're like, we probably shouldn't even go to Georgia.
Let's skip it.
But New Hampshire has opted to maintain its first-in-nation primary status. How is it, if they're prioritizing South Carolina as the initial state, how is New Hampshire maintaining first-in-nation? Unless South Carolina doesn't have a primary, they have a caucus, and that's how they're... I don't
possible.
fucking know. I don't know. Will hold their primary on January 23rd, and Mr. Biden will not be on the ballot. His team has led a write-in campaign in New Hampshire. Why?
Weird.
I think we talked about this. I don't remember why. Oh, because New Hampshire used to always be the first, and then they switched it to South Carolina, and New Hampshire's like, no, fuck this. We're going to do it first anyway. And the Democrat, we talked about this. This was like the first time. The Democrats, the DNC was like, anybody who participates that is kind of disqualified,
Right.
or their votes don't count in that state because that's not the first state that we said. And so they're hoping that they'll just write in Joe Biden
Right.
there.
And still be the first.
Sounds like they're going to
Unofficially.
shoot themselves in the foot.
Well,
People are going to be like, oh, Joe Biden's not here. Who's this guy?
yeah.
What's the difference between a caucus and primary? That's the main part I wanted to get to. A caucus involves a more complex process where participants gather openly, engaging in discussions and voting to express their support for a particular candidate. Unlike primaries, caucuses require voters to physically attend specific meetings, which demands a higher level of commitment, meaning there is a lower voter turnout. The process of assigning delegates in caucuses may differ, adding greater flexibility to the overall method. Now, the one thing I don't know if I like about caucuses is the fact that you have less of a percentage of the everyday Joe getting a say in who ends up on the primary. The only people that show up at those things are the ones that are already really interested in politics and probably have some sort of agenda to push. Because like people like you and me typically aren't going to go.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like caucuses accurately reflect like the general populace, like a primary would. But then on the other hand, how many regular Joes actually go and vote in primaries either?
Right. Yeah.
Not too many.
Like I said, I went to the caucus in 2016. I mean, it was pretty packed of a lot of different people. I think it just depends on how passionate they are.
Yeah.
You know, who's running, you know, that kind of stuff.
Derek Ambrose says Republicans are holding cocks. Biden smells children. Democrats start rigging another election. Yeah, that sounds fairly accurate there.
It's coming.
Conversely, in a primary election, you can tell which side this article is on. Voters participate by casting their ballots in private to choose their preferred candidate. This process is akin to a general election, allowing voters to select their candidate in a more straightforward manner. Primary elections generally witness higher voter participation due to accessibility, with voters able to cast their ballots throughout the day. Delegates in primaries are typically allocated proportionally, reflecting the percentage of votes each candidate receives. Primaries offer simpler and more accessible voting process, resulting in higher voter participation, while caucuses involve a more involved and participatory approach, requiring voters to actively engage in discussions. The decision hinges on the rules and preferences set by the state party. Why do president candidates care so much about the Iowa caucus? Do you feel like we're still that big of a deal, or you think it's just kind of a tradition
I
at
think
this
it's
point?
tradition.
Says historically, presidential candidates have looked to the Iowa caucus to help launch themselves to nominee status. But the Iowa caucus hasn't always gone on to be the best predictor of who will be the party's nominee, even less so at predicting who will win the presidency. The state is largely white and conservative and not entirely representative of the U.S. population. Iowa Republicans selected Mike Huckabee in 2008, Rick Santorum in 2012, and Ted Cruz in 2016, none of whom went on to clinch the nominations. They don't have a great track record lately. Some candidates who faced defeat in Iowa went on to secure victory, including Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and Trump in 2016. Since its inception in 1972, only 3 presidential candidates who triumphed in Iowa caucuses have ascended to presidency. Democrats Jimmy Carter in 76 and Barack Obama in 2008, and George W. in 2000 as Republican. Still, the caucus outcome frequently provides an outsized advantage to winners, and those who exceed expectations, often narrowing down the field by prompting underperforming candidates to exit the race. So it sounds like they keep it there. It's kind of like the early football games,
right?
It's like let's weed out the shitty teams early on.
Yeah.
Let's give them a chance, but let's weed them out while people aren't really in full-blown football mode, because nobody's going to be watching anyway. Let's weed these guys out, give them their shot, but nice try, pat on the back. Let's use Iowa as the platform to weed out. We don't have to spend as much ad money in Iowa. There's not as many Iowans. We can weed out some of those candidates and narrow it down more, because, if you don't get first or second, the odds of you doing much at all, a lot of them drop out like immediately, if they just bomb in the Iowa caucuses. I think it's less about predicting the outcome, which is what Iowa's kind of held like in their own mind. So like, we're the first ones and we're the ones that predict. It's like, but do you really, looking at those results? Not so much, but it's more of, let's just let's weed them out over there where we don't have to spend as much. It's not important. Then by the time they get to the real states, we can fit, like Nikki Haley said, we can correct. We can self-correct. We have a little more room to,
I feel like this year in particular, you can see, especially with all the robo-techs and shit, how much, Haley, DeSantis, and Swami are spending a lot of money in Iowa.
Like I said, they're vying for the second place seat, because
the top 3 usually
they
go
understand on. At most, the top 3 go on. Anything lower than that, you might as well just
If they can outlast and get to a place where they actually get into the debates with Trump, like I think Ramaswamy had said that, basically this is the playoffs and Trump has the first bye.
Yeah,
and so it's competing to try to get to that place where you're able to debate Trump at that point.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's about as good as I think.
And it's like Chris Christie's already out. Like he's
really?
Oh yeah, he dropped.
Was Chris Christie
last week?
I didn't realize he was still in. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly it. So and Chris Christie, they caught him on a hot mic saying he's pretty sure Haley's going to drop after Iowa because she's spent a lot of money and she's not getting traction.
I had heard somebody, I can't remember who said it, that thought DeSantis would drop by the end of this week. So I think whichever one of those doesn't come out on top will end up dropping the race, even though DeSantis says, if I don't win Iowa, I'm still going to push on. But I think if he gets, it probably depends on how close he is to what's her face, Nikki Haley. If she's like 10 points ahead of him in Iowa, I could see him dropping the race. If she gets beat at all, I could see her dropping the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is vying for second place in Iowa, has focused much of his time and resources on the state. He's visited all 99 of the counties and secured the endorsement of Governor Kim Reynolds. But even if he loses to Trump in Iowa, DeSantis' spokesperson said his campaign will not be derailed. The Florida governor is set to head straight to South Carolina for an event Tuesday morning, and then is scheduled to attend a meet and greet in New Hampshire, which will hold its first in the nation primary January 23rd. He talks about what can the results tell us about 2024. I don't care. We kind of said all of it.
Yeah.
Says, so this guy's a political elections analyst for the caucus. He's an analyst. He says, even if Trump loses New Hampshire, I don't think it's necessarily some sort of huge problem for him. He said, if Nikki Haley were to win New Hampshire and then South Carolina, that's where things might get interesting. But if she loses like Iowa and one of those, so if you compile those 3, if you don't get 2 out of the 3, you don't have much of a shot. And one of them might not decide it, but if you don't get 2 out of the 3, you're not doing it. Especially if you're Haley or DeSantis.
Right. And you've kind of seen that in the past. People that usually don't at least place in the top 3 in the 3 states, then they usually drop out.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know.
It's just, I mean, and a lot of it is just, it's hard to get those donations then. If people are like, okay, well,
But yeah,
that's just not tracking.
Yeah, if you're coming out with like 8% of the vote or something like that, even if you think there's still like a prayer, you're not going. A lot of what comes out of the Iowa Caucus is like financial backers. They're paying attention to Iowa just to see how well you come out of the first round. If you come out of the first round, they're like, maybe we'll throw a little money your way. If you come out of the second round, then it's a little bit more. So a lot of it has to do with the financial backing of it.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing great in Iowa of all places, especially as a Republican, you're not going to get a lot of financial backing unless you're Rudy Giuliani, obviously.
Yeah, right. Obviously.
So that's what a caucus is.
Yeah.
Like bickering and arguing and
yeah.
There isn't there like a whole like rules and process and stuff. It's kind of like a board meeting.
Yeah, kind of. So like each candidate will have a representative at each location. Sometimes they're close to the person. Sometimes they are the person. In 2016, it was Ivanka spoke for Trump.
That's why you went.
Fuck yeah. And so they kind of give their spiel, who they are, what they stand for and stuff. And then you break into your little precinct groups and you discuss, and then you nominate somebody to take the vote up. And then they count the votes. They announce the winner. And
so they will have the winner by tonight, or do they announce
it?
No,
they should have it tonight.
Okay.
So
unless you're the Democrats with like freaking phone apps.
Right.
Work.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like I couldn't be more. The only thing that makes me so happy about the fact that A, it's the caucus time and we're in the middle of the election, we got to admit it, and B, it's a winter apocalypse and we got to admit that we're in winter time in Iowa, is that they happen at the same time, and these freaking douchebags have to, if especially the non-Trumps, like Trump even came out in the middle of the cold at least once or twice.
Yeah.
But the ones that really want to work for it have to really work for it. They got to get their asses up.
Oh yeah.
They got to get out in the blizzard, out in a freaking the negative 32-degree wind chill, which, as we know in the Midwest, it wouldn't be so fucking cold if it wasn't for all this wind.
Right.
They get to experience that.
Yeah.
And
Vivek
if nothing
got
else
stuck in a ditch.
Did
He
he
had to
really?
get towed out.
That's awesome. I wish it would have happened to somebody else, but that's awesome. Now, I do appreciate that this all happened at the same time. I feel like Florida DeSantis should experience an Iowa winter. If he wants to truly appreciate Iowans, aside from trying our Casey's pizza, he should also experience an Iowa winter.
And if you could survive either of those,
right,
you're in.
Now, I don't know if I should feel bad for the dumbasses that got out to these like campaign events, like the general public that's like, we're going to do what it takes. Ron DeSantis is fighting for us. We're going to fight for him by risking our lives to drive through a freaking blizzard to see him talk. I don't know. Do you feel bad for that, or are you like, serves you right for being such a dumbass?
I would say it kind of serves you right.
So this article here, this is from devdiscourse.com. It says Trump seeks early victory in Iowa caucus as Republicans brave the cold and snow. There's some stuff that Trump had said, or people said about Trump involving the weather and like their commitment to him and what he expects their commitment to be to him. And so like they use this as like their commitment level gauge, their gauge of commitment.
Yeah.
And that just shows how uncommitted we are because we're not there. So it says, we know him, we trust him, and he's the man that we need back in the White House, said Marjorie Taylor Greene at a brewery in Fort Dodge.
Oh, she was here?
Apparently. The life-threatening cold blanketing the Midwest forced the campaigns to cancel several events over the weekend and could dampen turnout on Monday. Unlike a regular election, Iowa caucuses require voters to gather in person on Monday. They should make them do it outside. All of it outside.
That would show commitment.
And the candidate himself should be here outside.
That would be
show how committed you are to this role as president. Unlike a regular election, Iowa caucuses require voters to gather in person on Monday evening in small groups at churches, schools, and community centers where they cast secret ballots after speeches from campaign representatives. Republican presidential candidates Monday headed out for a final frigid day of campaigning in Iowa, where Donald Trump is the overwhelming favorite to stake an early claim to the party's 2024 nomination. The former president's dominant position has turned Iowa's first-in-the-nation contest into a race for a second place, as both Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley are aiming for a clear runner-up to finish to emerge as chief alternative to Trump. Like I said, they're just like, well, if we can't beat Trump, let's at least be that second spot. So if something happens where he's eliminated or disqualified, we have the spot. So this is DeSantis. He says, if you're willing to brave the cold and turn out for me, I'll be fighting for you for the next 8 years. And we're going to turn this country around. Does that sound like excitement?
Absolutely.
Charisma there?
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna come out in cold for me, I promise to fight for you.
I'll have some people go in the cold for you.
Yes. A commanding victory for Trump in Iowa would bolster his argument that he is the only Republican candidate capable of taking on Democrat President Joe Biden in November. It would also spell trouble for his challengers, especially DeSantis, who has wagered his campaign on Monday's Iowa caucus, pouring resources into the 99 counties. We talked about all that. Says both DeSantis and Haley have expressed confidence they will exceed expectations in Iowa, though neither has predicted victory. At a diner in Des Moines, Haley predicted that other candidates will be forced to drop out in the weeks to come. This will be a two-person race with me and Donald Trump, she told supporters. Unlike his rival, Trump did not attend campaign events, relying instead on surrogates to rally his supporters. Now, he did go to some events because he tried the Casey's Pizza.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this was prior to that or after the fact, but it's not like he's just like, I'm just going to sit here in my ivory tower and let somebody else do my dirty work.
He hasn't tried hitting all 99 counties, but he has shown up for some of the big ones.
We know him, we trust him, and he's the man we need back. They already said all that shit. Did this just jump on me? No, it just is repeating itself. Let's see. Where were we? So here's says caucus meetings will start at 7 p.m. Tonight, and results expected a few hours after that. Another potential wild card, an unknown number of the state's Democratic voters have registered as Republicans to try to influence the caucus results. Now, we're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
But just think about that. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Iowa Democrats changed their voter registration to Republicans because they feel that they can do more for the Democrat Party by electing anybody other than Donald Trump. How, like, when you know that your only claim to success is anything but Trump, and that's how it was in 2020 as well.
Right.
That you have convinced your voters, again, I said I would talk about this later. You convinced your voters, just go ahead and switch Republican.
Right.
You can switch back, or we don't even need you to switch back. We just need somebody other than Trump. So we can afford to lose a few voters as long as Trump's not there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really shady to me, too.
Is. Well, and I don't get, because I was listening on the way over. They were like, yeah, you have to be registered Republican, but you can register there. You can change your allegiance, at the event, and it's like, well, don't you think you're going to get people coming in and trying to like influence things by doing that?
You would, absolutely. And that's what they want to do. So this person, Tony Van Voorhees, who's 65, said, I just want to be able to look back and say, I did what I could to keep Donald Trump from getting elected. Again, we'll move on from that point because I want to talk about, because I got some other like kind of shady things going on around the caucus. Says the National Weather Service predicted wind chill temps could reach minus 45 degrees in some parts of the state. There was record turnout at the 2016 Republican caucus with 187,000 votes cast, and approximately 29% of the state's registered Republican voters. It was closer to 18% in 2012. It says Iowa has historically played an outside role in presidential campaigns due to its early spot on the campaign calendar. But in 2008, 2012, and 2016, the last three competitive races, the winner of Iowa's Republican caucus did not go on to secure the nomination. We already talked about that. So I did want to switch over to this other article that's Donald Trump talking about the weather now.
Okay.
So these people were like, you know what? I'm just going to brave this cold fucking weather. And Donald Trump says, you know what? You should brave this cold fucking weather at all costs, he says. Literally all costs.
At all costs.
In his closing pitch to Iowa Republicans, Trump says their votes can help punish his enemies. All major candidates for the Republican presidential, this is from ABC News, presidential nomination are campaigning in Iowa as they appeal to supporters to turn out for the caucuses, despite the frigid weather. Donald Trump implored his supporters Sunday to brave frigid temperatures and deliver him a decisive victory in Monday's Iowa caucus, saying their vote would help bring to Washington the retribution he has repeatedly promised if he returns to the White House. Didn't even promise that, though.
No.
If he got to the White House, I swear
he did. Yeah. Remember, he's going to throw a bunch of people in jail.
He's going to drain the swamp, throw them in Gitmo, all that stuff, and guess how many of them are there? Well, maybe they are there and we just don't know it.
That's true. I guess we wouldn't know.
The former president has set sky-high expectations for his own performance in the first contest of the race for the Republican presidential nomination. He spent the day before the caucuses trying to ensure he meets them. His main GOP rivals all spent Sunday in Iowa as well. At a rally in Indianola, Trump said his supporters could fight back against political enemies, claiming that the 4 indictments he faces were driven by politics and renewing his false claims about the 2020 election that he lost to Democrat Joe Biden. Many in the crowd wore white and gold caps, identifying them as Trump caucus captains. I want to be a caucus captain.
Right, a gold cap.
I want to be a cock captain. These cocks
You are.
These caucuses are your personal chance to score the ultimate victory over all the liars, cheaters, thugs, perverts, frauds, crooks, freaks, creeps.
Wow, did he really go on that? Like
freaks
that?
and creeps.
Wow.
And other quite nice people.
Quite nice?
And other quite nice people, he said. He didn't throw out there a rapist.
Yeah, right.
A murderer. So, liars, cheaters, thugs, perverts, frauds, crooks, freaks, creeps, and other quite nice people. This is your chance to score the ultimate victory against all of those. All of them.
Quite nice people, though?
All of them. The Washington swamp has done everything in its power to take away your voice, but tomorrow is your time to turn on them, to say and speak your mind, and to vote. More than 30 minutes before the doors opened for Trump's rally, Mark Smirnowski said he planned to do just that. He said, I'm here in part out of spite. I can't abandon him. After what they did to him in the last election and the political persecution he faces, I feel I owe him this. He's our only option.
Wow.
Help me, Donald Trump.
Hell?
You're my only hope. Again, this is that cult of personality. This is that savior complex.
Yeah.
I don't even know what this is, but Jesus Christ. It says he was among more than 100 layered in Carhartt coveralls with hats and hoods pulled down tight to fight off. So 30 minutes prior, they were waiting out in this freaking -18.
Yeah, fuck that.
Waiting for Donald Trump. And of the devotion Trump said last week would make his supporters, like their devotion, Trump said this, his supporters would walk on glass for him. He took it a step further Sunday, suggesting casting a vote for him would be worth dying for, literally dying for. He says, you can't sit at home. If you're sick as a dog, you say, darling, I got to make it. Even if you vote and then pass away, it was worth it.
Holy fuck.
He is literally calling them to like risk their lives to vote for him. It is worth
it's worth
your life. Like wait out in the freaking negative fuck degrees.
Yeah.
Hypothermia, Frostbite doesn't matter. Even if you just make sure you crawl your stumps, your like frostbitten stumps through the door, cast your vote, and then die. Don't die before it, but die, but
And-
cast your vote.
And I shall welcome you at the pearly gates when you arrive.
Right. Even as he predicted his supporters would deliver a substantial victory over his nearest rival, he sought to temper expectations that he could cross the 50% of the vote. So he's thinking he can, like he set a personal best for himself to get over 50% of Iowa Republicans' votes. So the previous record, I guess, was Bob Dole's nearly 13-point win over Pat Robertson in 1988. He says, well,
God,
we
that's
should do
sad.
that. If we don't do that, let them criticize us, right? Let's see if we can get to 50%. Now, can we talk about this level of devotion that not only do they have for him, but what he expects of them, and they give it to him.
Yeah.
Like this, you know what? I know it's cold out. If it were me, I'd be like,
Don't risk your life.
don't like if you truly like me, yes, let's get this vote thing, but don't come to my rallies.
Right.
Don't show up in Indianola, because the only people showing up to those rallies are the people that are going to vote for him anyway. He's not convincing anybody else.
Right, exactly.
So it's just like, look, it's cold out. Support me by staying safe at home so you can vote later.
Yeah, exactly. It's more important for you to be safe. I got this in the bag. Don't worry about it.
But for him, this is more important than life itself.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And for them, this is more important than life itself.
Like you said, that's that cult of personality. Him standing in the middle of the crowd as they chant his name.
Right. Donald Trump. Do you think now he says his supporters would literally walk on glass for him, and I believe it. Do you think Donald Trump would literally walk on glass for his supporters, though?
No.
Do you think if there was somebody out in the blizzard trying to claw their way in the door, and they like collapse, and Donald Trump's just standing in the door like, come on, man, come on. You think he's going to run out in the storm, wrap his freaking big old trench coat around him and carry him in like Jesus?
He would, no.
I'd be like, it's really fucking cold out there.
He would have somebody drag him in, and he would take their dead hand and write his name on a piece of paper.
He's like, wait, what are we at for the vote? Oh, we're at 49.9%. I need one more for that 50%. Go get that guy. Go get him.
Sir,
just
he's dead.
Get his hand. just get
need
his hand. No, I mean, Donald Trump's devoted to Donald Trump, just like his supporters are devoted to Donald Trump. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But like his expectations, like it's dangerous that there's that level of commitment and devotion for a guy with the brain of Donald Trump that already he knows he's something special, and they are just propping up this level of something special. Like, this is our man. We'll do anything for him. I'll throw down my fishing nets and come follow you, Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. I give up my life for you, like my career, my job, just to follow, make sure this
my
guy,
family, I'll leave my family behind for you, because I thought you said that in the Bible. Wait, no, that was Jesus.
I am Jesus.
But it's that kind of lines that he says that paints him in this light. It's like when he's like, oh, I could literally go on the street and shoot somebody and it would be okay.
And they're like, yeah, you could.
Yeah, we got your back.
Instead of being like, wow, he thinks that poorly of us, that we just blindly follow him like that. No, they're like, fuck yeah, we would. Yeah, we would. Like, where is the glass? I'm going to walk on glass for Donald Trump.
Should I bring some glass?
It's really gross.
It is.
Like, it's so gross.
And that's the shit that scares people to death in this country.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the left does way focus way too much on Donald Trump, but they're doing the same goddamn thing.
Oh, they are, yeah.
But to the point that this is not healthy. You're not in a healthy relationship. If he smacks you around and apologizes and says, I'm going to keep doing it again, but you'll stay with me, it's not a healthy relationship. The guy doesn't care. He's going to keep smacking you around. It doesn't matter how many times he promises that he won't do it again. Or in Donald Trump's case, he's going to like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do it again. You're going to like it, bitch. And they're like, yeah, I am going to like it.
Yeah. Well, and the unfortunate difference is that for the left, it's about the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
In the right, it's about one man. It's about Donald Trump saving the country.
On the left, it's about one man. It's about not
Donald
Trump.
Right. Anybody but Donald
Anybody
Trump.
but Donald Trump. Maybe they do have a point,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I don't know.
But it's worth being scared about. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
when you call it a cult, I mean, yes, it does seem like that kind of following.
Right. So now in all this snow and all this shit and all these articles that we've read, they focus primarily on Donald Trump and Nikki Haley and DeSantis. Where's your boy at these days? Like, I had to look up to see if he was still in the race because nobody is really mentioning him.
I predict he's going to sneak up, and I think he's going to get second in Iowa.
You think so? You
I
really
do.
think so?
I do. I think he's going to steal second in Iowa.
Did you know where he's sitting right now?
I think he's got like what, 8%?
8% of the Republicans, not 8% of the country, 8% of the Republicans.
Yeah.
You really think he's going to catch up to there?
I do.
He thinks he is. He's like threatening to, well, he went from like initially there was article, and now I can't find it, like a couple hours later, where he vowed to win in Iowa.
That would be bold.
And now he is vowing to dash Trump's like major victory. Like basically saying, I'm going to be the guy that makes sure he doesn't get 50%. That's my goal, is just to make sure Donald Trump doesn't get his 50%. Like his expectations for himself have even gone down, but I don't know. Like, why do you think he's going to have this sweeping finish?
I think he has a good field game. I think that he played the counties well. I think he was out there during the blizzards.
Then why is he polling at 8%?
I'm not going with the polls.
Okay. You're one of those guys.
Yes, I'm one of those guys. But I feel like, and I predicted Trump wasn't going to win Iowa in 2016. This is
I predicted Trump was going to win in 2016.
Well,
the second he walked down the escalator, and he did.
Well, he did. Yes. I was surprised by that, but I knew he wasn't going to win Iowa. So, because I just knew he wouldn't.
Well, he was a New Yorker coming in. Now
and he didn't give a shit about Iowa.
Now he's like formed his cult.
Really hot daughter instead.
And now he's going to win Iowa for sure. He's going to win them all for sure. Will. But like it is hard saying big billionaire New Yorker, East Coast New Yorker is going to win Iowa when he didn't have that. I think Ted Cruz won because he had that Southern draw. He sounded like one of us guys down, even though we don't even speak Southern. Right. We don't even speak Southern, but we flock to a guy with a Southern accent because we're like in denial over which side of the Mason-Dixon line we sit on. But
I'll be honest, I can't stand Southern accents. It reminds me of like some sleazy car salesman.
No, but what do you think in Iowa, like a farmer in Iowa is going to vote for? Some guy with a Southern accent, some guy with a New York accent and a fancy suit?
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
This says Ramaswamy threatens to dash Trump's huge win in Iowa caucus. It says Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy polls at 8% in Iowa, but his backers and some analysts say it's the tip of the iceberg and may be enough to block former President Donald Trump from the historic landslide win he won Monday's caucus. So, like I said, he's lowered his expectation. Like, let's just keep Trump from getting 50%. This calculus explains Mr. Trump's sudden attack on the man who's been his biggest fan in the Republican presidential race. On the cusp of Iowa's leadoff caucus, Mr. Trump gave Ramaswamy the Trojan horse treatment, warning voters that the man who showered him with effusive praise for months is untrustworthy. Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, the best president in a generation, etc. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks. Very sly, very sly. But a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote. His abrupt turn on Ramaswamy underscored how the Trump acolyte is a wild card in the caucuses, so much so that there are concerns among Trump supporters that Mr. Ramaswamy could cut the former president's likely victory to below 50% historic margins that he hopes to win. And that is all. That's all it says about it. But yes, Ramaswamy is still in the running. Will he succeed in beating out DeSantis and Nikki Haley? I don't know. I like him better than those two. Absolutely. I would like to see him beat those two out.
Absolutely.
I would prefer to see him over Donald Trump. I don't see that happening at all, even in any of the states. But and except for maybe Colorado or Maine, where they kicked Donald Trump off the ballot.
Right.
But even then,
Yeah.
write-ins could potentially.
But we've seen people that have, done well in the first 3 states get catapulted.
Right.
Right. It either makes or breaks a candidate.
Sure. Now, I did want to show you kind of where at least the polls show all of the Republicans at right now. This is from Des Moines Register, which I had to pay. I had to pay to get this article up for tonight. So you're welcome.
Sorry. That's horrible.
Where Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis stand in the final Iowa poll before caucus night. Not sure what day this came out, but it was before caucus night. It says Donald Trump is the first choice of 48% of likely Republican caucus goers, while former United States Ambassador Nikki Haley is at 20% and Ron DeSantis drops to 16%. It says, so I'm not going to go through all this because it gets through a lot of numbers and a lot of figures, but there are some hilarious figures in here. But it talks about Donald Trump retaining his commanding lead. The former president is the first choice of 48% of likely Republican caucus goers, while Nikki Haley's 20%, and like I said, DeSantis 16%. The poll of 705 likely Republican caucus goers was conducted January 7th through the 12th. Here's a look at all 6 Republican candidates and their performance. Here's a nice graphic. This green line is Donald Trump.
Okay.
Way up here. Down here, you see DeSantis. He was way above Haley back in August. Then they joined forces. They tied at 16% and 16% in October. December, DeSantis jumped back up, but then just this month, he dropped down below Nikki Haley. This sad little yellow line here is Vivek. Now, he started at 4% in August, dropped to 3% in October, or no, he stayed at 4%, climbed to 5%, and now is sitting at 8%. So, I mean, if this is the little engine that could, he might be on the right track. But
who's the other names?
One is Not Sure. So Not Sure beat out Ryan Binkley and Asa Hutchinson. None of these beat out Ryan Binkley and Asa Hutchinson. So closely behind Vivek is Not Sure. Oh, those names that we've never heard of are being sadly beaten by Not Sure and none. Trump's support slipped 3% points since December, but he maintains 28 percentage point lead over Haley, earning support of 48% of likely Republican goers. Among first-time caucus goers, Trump lead is larger with 56% to Haley's 14% and DeSantis's 13%. More than 4 out of 5 Trump supporters say their mind is made up, while just 18% say they could still be persuaded to support somebody else. Trump supporters also display a high degree of enthusiasm about his candidacy. Now, this is where it gets funny because they poll people's enthusiasm.
Interesting.
Their own supporters' enthusiasm, not just the general popular. They're not like, how enthusiastic, Bill, how enthusiastic about Trump are you? Bill, how enthusiastic? No, they're like, who are you going to vote for? You say Vivek. And they're like, how enthusiastic are you about the person that you are going to choose? Now, this gets funny. Trump supporters, nearly half of them, say that they're extremely enthusiastic about him, while 39% say they're very enthusiastic. Now, so you're looking at 88% right there. 88% say they're either extremely or
so do you think they were like on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very extremely,
well, yeah, that's
4
what it
being
is.
very, 3 being like 2 being like,
well, there's extremely,
like,
there's
no.
very enthusiastic, there's mildly enthusiastic, and there's not enthusiastic at all. 11%, only 11% said they're mildly enthusiastic. They're like, we're sort of kind of, if there's no other options, but we're sort of kind of. 0% said they're not enthusiastic. Now I want to scroll down. It talks about all these other figures from different months and stuff and compares them. I want to scroll down to the other people's enthusiasm. Yeah. Nikki Haley, like I said, is 20%, up from 16% in December. Just 9% of her supporters say they're extremely enthusiastic.
Huh.
While 30% say they're very enthusiastic. So only 39% of the people that said, yes, I would vote for this woman, say, yeah, hell yeah, we're enthusiastic. Or, yes, we're enthusiastic. They're like, meh, 12% said they're not at all enthusiastic.
Why would you even
about
support
this person
somebody
that
that
they're
you're like,
supporting?
eh.
49%. So the majority of most of them, not the majority, but almost the majority of them say they're mildly. She gets a 2 out of 4 rating for enthusiasm out of this.
That's sad.
That's very sad. Now let's scroll down to DeSantis. Let's see. Ron DeSantis. He's just the epitome of enthusiasm. Look at that guy.
Oh yeah, he looks very.
Even his family. Look.
Oh yeah, they're all smiling big.
Well, his wife looks enthusiastic.
She looks like she's about ready to eat somebody.
His daughter is like, "Do I really have to be here?" His
Yeah.
son's like, "Where the fuck am I?" And this guy over here is like, "Ron DeSantis, everyone, please clap."
Yeah.
DeSantis has lost ground since December. He sits at 16%, like we said. Now, hear this. DeSantis, 23% say that they're extremely, 7% or 39. So actually, he's doing better in the enthusiasm than Nikki Haley because that puts him 39 and 23, puts him at what, 52%? 52% saying they're generally on the enthusiastic side, while 33% say they're mildly enthusiastic and only 5% say they're not. Now hers was what, like 12, 13% said we're not at all enthusiastic about this woman. So yes, his polls have gone down, but at least the general enthusiasm is slightly higher than her.
Yeah.
But that just says so much about our political choices out there. We have Donald Trump, which has this cult, like we said, which like 89% of them were like, we're either very or extremely enthusiastic. There's a handful that's like, whatever, it's Donald Trump, I'm going to vote for him. But nobody was like, fuck it, I'm not at all. Now you get these other two that are trying to defeat Donald Trump, and they can't even get their own supporters enthusiastic.
Right. They can't even get 50% of enthusiasm.
They can't even get them above to the mildly some of them to the mildly enthusiastic. Like I can see there being, especially with some of these like second-rate politicians, like the mildly being a little bit higher for them than it is for Donald Trump. But you should never have supporters that say we're not at all fucking enthusiastic for this person.
To me, you can't count those as like real supporters because they could easily be swayed at that point.
Those are like the never Trumpers.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know if they gave the enthusiasm for Vivek. I don't think they did. Probably wasn't enough to base it off of. It talks about 8%. His 8% likely Republican caucus goers. His best showing in the Iowa poll this election cycle. He's increased his footprint by 4 percentage points since December to include 42% of likely caucus goers. Doesn't say anything about his enthusiasm. Just not enough information.
Sure.
That's just a snapshot of how stupid this election's going to be. We have Donald Trump and his cults following, his people that would walk on glass and kill themselves to get the vote out. Right. And then we have the other two where it's just like, I guess I'll vote for that person. Well, how enthusiastic are you about? Did you not get the that came out of my voice? Did that sound enthusiastic to you? That's all I got is I guess I'll vote for that person. Oh, we forgot Ryan Binkley.
Yeah.
Got to talk about these two because we didn't know who they were before today.
Clue who Ryan Binkley and the other chick is.
After registering at 0% in the last 3 polls, Texas businessman and pastor Ryan Binkley is now the top choice of 1% of likely Republican caucus goers. So up from 0%
to 1.
Made that giant leap to the 1% threshold. Now, the last person is Asa Hutchinson. Asa Hutchinson is former Arkansas governor. He remains at 1% in the latest Iowa poll. He's sitting right at 1%, up not at all from 1% in December. His overall footprint remains in the single digits, with fewer than 10 likely GOP caucus goers saying that they are considering him. Probably because fewer than 10 likely GOP caucus goers have ever heard of the man.
Yeah.
His favorability has fallen over the course of the campaign. Now he is viewed more unfavorably than favorably, with a 4-1 margin. Why is this guy even trying?
Exactly.
At this point?
Yeah. He must be, maybe he lost a bet.
I don't know. It's like, yeah, I could do that. If he could do that, I could do that.
Right. If Bill Clinton could be, president, I could be.
Yeah, I'm going to be the next
Arkansas
governor to run. I'm just going to follow in his footsteps. I don't know. What do you think of all this shit so far? You excited for this election?
No.
My real fake name says Josh Smith in 2024. Yes, absolutely. Josh Smith. I would walk over glass for Josh Smith. I would have Josh Smith's babies, but that has nothing to do with the presidency. I would just have Josh Smith's babies.
Doesn't he have 6?
He does have 6. I would have his 7th baby. Josh Smith for president. Anyway, what were you saying before I derailed?
Now, does the Libertarian Party do they have a caucus?
The Libertarian Party does have a caucus
tonight.
I don't know when it goes.
Oh, okay.
My brother would know because I think he's still a delegate.
Is he?
I'll have to ask him. I don't know when it goes, but it gets pretty heated, I guess.
Really?
And they elect people that aren't that are not what's his name? Who's the guy we had on our show back in 2020? Spike Cohen.
Oh, yeah.
They did put him up, I guess, for VP, but they didn't get the guy with the boot on his head.
Oh, that's too bad.
Vermin Supreme. Yeah.
Yes.
That's who they should have.
So
if they
would have won.
If they pick what's her nuts, the lady I can't even think her name of anymore, over Vermin
Smith.
Supreme, then they're not gonna unless they've revamped their entire process, unless they've had a successful coup that they should have had, which I hope they did. Josh Smith better be on the fucking ballot. Otherwise, the Libertarian Party is fucking dead. That's all I got to say. And I'll still have Josh Smith's babies. We're going to go to break on that note. I want to get back and talk about 2 more things. I want to talk about the closing ads. I have a list of what they, how much was spent. There was like a record, like $123 million spent
Holy fuck.
on Iowa alone.
Yeah.
And I want to read some of their closing ads, like what they focused on. And we're going to base our votes, subjectively base our votes on their closing ads.
Okay.
And then I want to talk about some of the weirdness that's going on before we wrap this up. One being the Democrats switching votes at the last second.
Yeah.
Nothing shady there, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the things I want to focus in the second half. Obviously, there's an election conspiracy theory to throw out there.
Of course.
One of the earliest of 2024 early election conspiracy theories happening right here in Iowa. It has to do with the Iowa caucuses.
Wow.
Yes. So we're going to discuss that too. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes, not seconds.
Minutes.
I got to find my buttons. I don't remember where they are anymore. We'll be right back.
Take a moment and remember the feeling. When they called you not essential. When they dictated what you could do, where you could go, how you could breathe. It's disgusting, isn't it? And they're trying to do it again. We've seen what happens when the people lose control. When politicians and unelected bureaucrats make the big decisions on our behalf, whether we like them or not. When the choices are taken away from us one by one. We've seen what happens when they strip away medical freedom, when they trample on informed consent, when they dismiss our cries of justice. They laughed at us. They called us names.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
And they shamed us for not going along with their every demand. Enough already. It's time to hold these tyrants accountable. In the midst of them trying to do it again, this wasn't a public health measure. This was an act of war against a peaceful people. But a reckoning is coming, and we're leading the charge. This campaign is for all of us. I'm asking you to join this movement that's for every single person who felt the crushing weight of mandates, the sting of being called unessential, the pain of having your liberties stripped away. I'm Joshua Smith, and I'm running because you are essential, and because our freedoms are non-negotiable. Not last time, not this time, not ever again.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good.
We faced the challenges. We felt the pain, but we're not defeated. Together, we have the power to create a brighter future, one where liberty thrives and tyranny dies. I endorse prosecuting the COVID tyrants and using Guantanamo Bay to lock them away for their crimes against humanity. In the face of all of this happening again, where they think we're stupid enough to fall for it, in 2024, a vote for me is a vote for vengeance. Go to joshuasmith2024.com to find out how you can help.
Time for you. You've got too much on your mind to be so
We're back, bitches. See this? See this? Donald Trump saying, hey, fuckers. Flipping off the camera. The results are coming in for the thing we were talking about, the major caucus.
Yes.
According to live updates, Donald Trump has clinched the victory in Iowa. I think there's still stuff coming in, but he's got enough votes that he's definitely going to win it.
Say it's his.
He's sitting at 51.5% right now, which is more than he wanted to win it. What did you read something that they predicted he was going to come in at 70%?
Yeah, there was one site that said 70%.
That's not possible if Ron DeSantis is 21.2 right now.
Right.
Nikki Haley is 19.1.
Yeah.
And Vivek sweeping in from the rear, like you said, is sitting at a whopping 7.4, which is up 0.3% since
It is.
we
It
looked.
is exactly
7.4% of the votes.
Yes. Yeah. New York Post says Trump comes in with a resoundingly landslide.
I mean, we knew it would be that way.
Yeah.
The only people that didn't was the people that, like, they still were holding on to hope.
Yeah.
I don't have hope anymore.
Yeah. This says with less than 0.5% of the expected vote in. 0.5% of the expected vote in. Trump
0.5?
Yeah. Trump has 70% support, followed by DeSantis 15, Haley's 8, and Ramaswamy 6.
This was really early on.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people came in and threw their votes at Donald Trump, and they're like, "Oh shit, Donald Trump's gonna win this."
This was an hour ago.
Which that's how. What state was it that called with like?
Oh, was it Arizona?
5% of the vote or something in, or like 20% of the vote in.
Because
Fox News called it.
Pissed that Fox News called it that early.
Yeah, and that's what that guy seems like.
Yeah.
He was like, "Wow, sweeping with 0.8% in." Donald Trump's in at what is that like? 8 votes? 8 people voted.
Right.
And
yeah, right. One precinct.
6 of them voted for Donald Trump, and that's what they're going off of.
Yeah,
why are you even reporting at this
I know,
point?
right? Yeah, it's like just give it a chance.
Right.
Give it a chance. So I would say with confidence we could say Trump probably is going to win.
Trump is going to win.
He is going to win
because this says Trump wins. He has enough votes in now that there's no they can't get enough votes to beat him.
Right.
I don't know. It's sitting close enough that I don't know that he'll sweep with the 50+% because he's sitting at 51.5 now. Yeah. It's not looking so great for your boy.
No, it's not. It's not.
But that's the live update coming from you heard it first from or 8th from I don't care. You heard it here.
Yes.
Maybe first from us. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't know why we're doing this because I don't give a shit. But
well, you know you're not going to be surprised, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised because we're going to fucked either way. That's why it's called the caucus.
Yes.
So that's your live updates from us about the Iowa caucus, what's going on. I don't know how much longer they're expecting this to go.
I would say everything was probably going to be reported in by at least 9 o'clock.
You think so?
10 o'clock, something like that.
So we know Trump's going to take it. I want to know. It's pretty close still between DeSantis and Haley.
Yeah.
So,
which is really disappointing to me.
That Vivek didn't do what you thought he would do, and I said he's not going to.
No, disappointing that Haley, who's the clear establishment candidate, is doing as well as she is.
But she's also coming out as I'm like a new generation of voters, and that's really what people.
She's not, because she's got the same policies.
Oh yeah,
and she's purely subsisting on Blackgate money, most likely.
Yeah, but
right?
she's like, you know what?
BlackRock.
She's like, I'm not an old white dude.
Right.
Basically
yeah,
what
and that's literally her radio ad.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's old. You
And,
need new blood.
She hasn't actually, because she's part of the Republican Party. She hasn't come out and been like, "You need a woman for president."
Yeah. Right.
They're gonna be like, "No, we don't need no woman. Get back in the kitchen."
Exactly. Get those dishes done.
So this is from CNN.com, and it says, it talks about the $123 million in advertising that Republicans have spent in Iowa, which is record breaking. So they said, see how 2024 Republicans spent more than $123 million. My only focus on this article is the closing statements. Because we're going to, based on these closing statements, we're gonna cast our votes.
Okay.
Closing ads. The tens of millions of ad dollars have powered a flood of sharp attack ads as the rival candidates and their allies ratcheted up criticism in the home stretch for the race. The ad with the most money behind it on Iowa airwaves since the start of the year is an attack spot from the SFA Fund, which is a pro-Haley super PAC. So this isn't coming from her campaign, but it's a pro-Haley. It's for Haley. Targeting DeSantis and accusing him of weakness on the issue of China, a major point of contention in the 2024 GOP presidential primary. So this is the pro-Haley super PAC ad.
Gotcha.
DeSantis is lying because he's losing. DeSantis called China Florida's most important trading partner. DeSantis even allowed Chinese military contractor to expand just miles from the U.S. naval base. Phony Ron DeSantis, too lame to lead, too weak to win. What do you think of that one? Does that pull at your heart? Does that convince you to vote for Nikki Haley?
No, not at all.
Okay, no,
and it doesn't really dissuade me from DeSantis.
Like too pro China, and he's too lame to lead, too weak to win.
Too weak, yeah.
The SFA Fund has also put out hundreds of thousands of dollars behind another attack ad targeting DeSantis, calling his campaign a dumpster fire, while featuring critical headlines from coverage of his White House bid. He's calling him a dumpster fire. Does that convince you?
Not really. Not come from Nikki Haley.
Meanwhile, DeSantis's operation is hitting back with its own spot, accusing Haley of failing to confront China. China. All right. So this one. So we heard the pro Haley one.
Yes.
Too weak.
Too lame.
Too lame to something.
Yes.
Too weak to lead. Too lame to lead. Too weak to win. Too pro China.
Yeah.
Haley or DeSantis comes back at Haley saying this: tricky Nikki pretends she's tough on China, but as governor, she promised to do whatever it takes to get Chinese companies set up in our backyard. We just can't trust tricky Nikki. What do you think of that one?
It's got a nice,
I like
rhyme to it.
I like the rhyming.
I like the tricky Nikki.
I do too. It's not very original.
No.
She set herself up for failure in that one by being named Nikki.
Yeah,
because
right.
obviously
maybe she should have gone with Nicole.
It's very surface level, which all the shit surface level.
Is, yeah.
To go, I hate that. Like, yes, it's got a nice ring to it or whatever, but I hate when they like use stupid names like that. What was it? What was it that they always Sleepy Joe?
No,
and Sleepy Joe and or even when they're like Barack Hussein Obama, and when they're just like putting plays on their names, just a tricky Nikki. Creative. I'd still take that over the DeSantis ad. Too
I agree.
lame to lead, too weak to win.
I like the tricky Nikki better for sure.
The ad DeSantis campaign has put the most money in behind since the start of the new year, targets both Haley and Trump, leaning into culture wars. Here you go. The spot accuses Haley of supporting the radical trans agenda and says Trump is no better. Ron DeSantis has stood firm. No surgeries on minors. Protect girls. Support or sports for little girls. You didn't do it. Now, I got to see the ad. Because if they just say, Nikki Haley supports radical trans agenda, based on what, though?
Right.
Like, I haven't seen anything, which I don't pay that much attention to Nikki Haley's campaign, to see that maybe she hasn't done enough to fight against it or whatever. I mean, she was an ambassador. She's not like a...
Yeah, she's in the UN. Right. She's not deciding school policy.
She hasn't said enough, I guess, to come out against it?
That's my guess, yeah.
I mean...
Whereas DeSantis has a very clear record in Florida of combating that.
Now, that argument, if true, that Trump and Haley don't do anything to, that's enough for me to vote for, I guess, DeSantis over.
Right.
I mean, that alone isn't, but based on these previous ads, I would take that over the China shit.
Right, yeah.
Or the tricky Nikki. So, out of those three, which do you vote for so far?
Yeah, the tricky Nikki still is
still your number one spot?
Yeah.
The final days before the first votes, DeSantis' campaign and its allied super PACs also seized on Haley's remark that New Hampshire, home to the second nominating contest, corrects the results of the Iowa Caucus. Fight Right, one of the super PACs, launched an ad in Iowa saying, Nikki doesn't respect you. Why should Iowans support another fake politician who disrespects them? Now, that ad alone is not enough.
No.
I'd have to see it if it
Yeah.
was like a video of her saying,
Right.
we're here to correct
Yeah.
what the Iowans fuck up.
Yeah, right.
Then maybe, but based on what it says here, where she's like, Nikki doesn't respect you.
Yeah.
Don't vote for somebody that doesn't respect you.
That's
I'd
not
still
gonna...
take the tranny stuff, the anti-tranny, the no surgeries on minors, I guess, over that.
Yeah.
The closing ad from DeSantis' campaign similarly highlights Haley's comments. Haley disparages the caucuses and insults them. It's Ron DeSantis who embodies and defends Iowa's values of faith, family, and freedom. Still, it's not good enough.
That's
it's not.
Yeah.
That's your closing ad.
You're right.
That's your claim to fame.
Yeah.
Again, all they're going on at this point is, I want to be second place.
Right.
Because none of them are really
No.
even trying to attack Donald Trump.
Yeah,
because
they all
know
leave Trump
that
alone. Because
all they know their money has to go towards that second place spot, because they can't spend the money on beating Trump because they know they're not going to. So they're just going to, like I said, buy for that second place spot. All their money's going to go towards that, and come out with $120 million to say Ron DeSantis embodies and defends values of faith, family, and freedom.
Yeah.
By contrast, here's Haley's campaign closing ad. Doesn't mention either DeSantis or Trump.
Huh.
She says, imagine a president with grit and grace, a different style, not a name from the past. That's her closing statement.
Okay. And I respect that.
Now, out of all those, hearing all their fights back and forth, it wasn't even like dirty fighting.
Yeah.
I wanted to see some more dirt.
I know, right. And there's certainly could have gone that way.
If you didn't know any of these candidates, like take, all right, let's just go with DeSantis and Haley, because Donald Trump's out of the picture. He didn't really have too much good ads. He just conducted his ads. He knew he was going to win the spot. He's conducted all his campaigns are like ads are like general election ads. He's attacking Joe Biden. He's attacking the Democrats. He's not he doesn't even waste his time mentioning Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis. So throw him out of the picture. Let's say we don't even know who Ron DeSantis is. We don't know who Nikki Haley is. Nothing about him except for these ads that we just read.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you vote for? Do you vote for, like, he said he called her Tricky Nikki, which you liked that.
Yeah.
Apparently that's all it takes to win your vote. It's a good
I'm
rhyme.
simple. No, and
good name rhyme.
Yeah.
I'm
a big Dr. Seuss guy.
He said that she doesn't do enough to fight the trans agenda. And then what was the last one that
he embodies faith and
then
values.
Also she disrespects Iowa by saying that New Hampshire is going to correct Iowa.
Right.
Now she comes out and she calls DeSantis is a dumpster. She was the one that called him a dumpster fire. She had that early one that was just like, not so much. What was that one? Oh, he's lying because he's losing. She attacked him on China, called him too lame to lead, too weak to win. And then for her closing remarks, instead of saying, she doesn't respect you like I respect you, she comes out and says, I'm not the old guard. I'm something fresh and something great, some grace
and grit.
Grace and grit, and I'm not those guys. I'm something new. Based on those ads, who would you vote for?
Throwing out all other prior knowledge.
All prior knowledge. No, all you know is these ads here. And there's nobody else on the ballot. There's not Josh Smith to have babies with.
I'd go with Haley.
You go with Haley?
Well, I like that she's trying to sell herself rather than tear down her opponent.
Well, that's what I liked about, like, they actually, more of this article says she spent more time endorsing herself rather than attacking her opponents.
Yeah.
Like, just those were just their closing ads, but throughout the entire time, she has spent more dollars self-promoting and being the new age of politicians versus I'm not that person. I'm not this person. Don't vote for that person.
Right.
It's like, look, this is who I am. This is what I stand for.
Right.
And based on, I think I take out of all that, I take the final dollars that they threw on it. And she was like, I'm not even going to mention either of these fuckers. I'm just going to mention my own name.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me to be like, okay, I'll take Nikki Haley over DeSantis.
For your consideration, are you able to pull up a YouTube video? Or
Possibly.
would it fuck up something?
It'll probably fuck up something, but we can try. What are we looking for?
All right, Vivek's takedown of Nikki Haley.
All right. Is that what it's called? Vivek's
I don't know if that's what it's called.
Vivek. Nikki. Hey.
On Ukraine.
Haley, Ukraine. No, I don't know. We weren't even like taking into account their voting history, their
Right. That's just based
foreign
on-
policy was just literally based on those last things. Is it the one where he asked if she can name 3?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if this plays. Let's see. It's gonna play an ad, I bet you. Probably a political ad. No,
Probably
an
for
iPhone
Trump.
ad.
Oh, nice.
Exciting news. US
Exciting.
Cellular has the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro.
Which is just like the iPhone 14 and 13 has just got a new name.
Beautiful. Now let's cue the music. Green screen.
Hi, man. So, foreign policy experience is not the same as foreign policy wisdom. I want everybody at home to note that I was the first person to say we need a reasonable peace deal in Ukraine. Now, a lot of the neocons are quietly coming along to that position, with the exceptions of Nikki Haley and Joe Biden, who still support this, what I believe is pointless war in Ukraine. And I think those with foreign policy experience, one thing that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it. So reject this myth that they've been selling you, that somebody had a cup of coffee stint at the UN and then makes $8 million after, has real foreign policy experience. It takes an outsider to see this through. Look at the blank expression. She doesn't know the names of the provinces that she wants to actually fight for.
I like it.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the rules.
Yeah, right.
If that was his final ad, if he just come out and said, vote for me because Nikki Haley doesn't know how to, that would be enough for me.
Right.
Doesn't know how to pronounce 3 Ukraine provinces.
Like they did to Gary, was it Gary Johnson with the
Yes. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
The Syria
now.
thing.
Yeah, it was Syria. I can't remember what the
Aleppo.
Aleppo, yeah.
Yeah.
The who?
Yeah.
Aleppo who? So we've come to the conclusion that Bill would vote for Nikki Haley.
Yes. Yeah.
That's-
Based on the
Bill is
closing
voting for Nikki Haley. Bill supports Nikki Haley, and I still want to
Nick.
have Josh Smith's babies.
Yes.
So I don't understand the money that's thrown into these because again, the only people it's persuading is the people that don't want either 2 of these fuckers that are going to be on the ballot, and it's just trying to convince people to like be a placeholder to take votes from Trump or take votes from Biden. That's all this is. And that's what all these ad dollars are for.
Wouldn't you rather want to know, like, okay, Nikki Haley used to be governor for, what was it, South Carolina?
I don't know what she used to be.
Yeah, she used to be a governor for one of those. Anyways, you know, what was her record? What was the state's finances like while she did that? You know,
yeah, they're not going to say those things.
No, but you know, DeSantis. So you know, what's the finances of Florida? You know, with him being governor,
right?
You know, that's what I would care about.
Now let's get into the shady weirdness of primaries, because usually we don't get into it this early, except for the Democrat stuff with Hillary and Bernie, back in the day,
which was shady.
That was just bullshit. Not that I wanted Bernie Sanders as president, but still, it was bullshit.
No.
Let's start. I've got three parts here. The first one is what we already kind of discussed: is Democrat voters switching affiliations to Republicans, or undeclared. Nothing shady to see here. This is from the New Hampshire Bulletin. So this isn't specifically just Iowa, but it's countrywide. It sounds like.
Okay.
It says nearly 4,000 New Hampshire Democrat voters changed their party affiliation ahead of the state's presidential primary next year. So this is old news. This was back out in October, but I've seen stuff being talked about like as recently as today when it comes to like Iowa to side 2. But this was like the best explanation article of it. Says the New Hampshire Secretary of State's office announced Wednesday a possible indication that they plan to participate in the Republican primary. In a news release, the office said 3,542 people were registered as Democrats switched their registration to undeclared. An additional 408 Democrats switched to be registered as Republicans. Voters in New Hampshire had a window between September 14th and October 7th to switch parties in time for the presidential primary. In New Hampshire, voters registered with a specific party may only vote in state and federal primaries for that party, but voters registered as undeclared may choose which primary to vote in on Election Day. Moving forward, no registration changes will be allowed until after the primary. So what they can do is switch, especially in Iowa, where nobody gives a fuck about the Democrats in Iowa. Democrats don't even give a fuck about the Democrats in Iowa. So all the Democrats there can switch their affiliation to unregistered or non-affiliate or whatever.
Yeah.
Vote in the Republican primaries, throw that off to possibly defeat Mr. Trump, or at least throw him off his rockers.
Right.
And then after the primaries are over, switch back to Democrats and vote against Donald Trump or whoever they elected in the primaries. They could vote for Vivek in the primaries, turn around and vote for Biden and defeat.
Right.
They're trying to get somebody else other than Trump, so then they can turn around. They feel like that, like it seems like that is their only option to win in 2024 is to get anybody other than Donald Trump in there, even if they have to switch votes for the primaries. I think that's bullshit. I think if they switch, then I don't know. I don't know how to make this. I mean, I guess good on them for the fucking idea. If that's your strategy, I guess it works. But
who has that kind of? I mean, who cares that much?
Right.
It's like I'm gonna change my affiliation.
Well, that just shows you how scared they are of Donald Trump.
Well, it is, and it goes
that,
towards credence of him as being the second coming.
That they will switch just to not get
That's
him on the
ridiculous
ballot
to me.
because, and then switch back to vote against him. It's fucking crazy. It says voters in New Hampshire. Oh, we read that. The Republican presidential primary field is busier than the Democratic field this year. 12 Republicans are vying for their party's nomination. On the Democratic side, Joe Biden is running for re-election and is being challenged by Marianne Williamson, a self-help author who ran unsuccessfully in 2020. So really, they don't even have to participate in the primaries because they know Joe Biden's a shoo-in.
Right.
So they can. I'm surprised they all didn't just switch and vote against Donald Trump and then switch back.
Right.
That would have made sense. Two candidates are running as independent candidates, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Cornel West. What about
Is Kennedy going as independent?
That's what it says here.
Really?
I got a guy on a phone call at work today looking for business, and I swear it was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I could not.
He has that voice.
Oh my God, I could not.
Yes, I was wondering if
I got an alarm system.
Oh my gosh!
Like he sounded exactly like RFK Jr. and I almost hung up on him. Secretary of State Dave Scanlon has not yet set New Hampshire's 2024 election date, which is typically held in February. So this is specifically to New Hampshire. Don't fucking care. Anyway, the main point of all this is just that first paragraph that talked about that shadiness.
Yeah.
Does that seem a little shady to you?
Yeah.
Now, at first, when you first read that, it's like, oh, they're switching from their affiliation.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're giving up on their party. And then you really look in, like, think about it. And you're like, no, they just don't need them to vote for the Democrat primaries. Or maybe they're afraid that they will vote for self-helper. We'd rather you vote against Donald Trump than vote for a self-helper against Joe Biden. I want to know who was in charge of that marketing scheme to convince these voters, you can switch affiliation. Because I haven't seen any ads for it. Like, switch affiliation, take out Donald Trump, then switch back.
That only happens in the underground
there's gotta
meetings.
There's got to be some like underground, that's probably the door canvassers because they don't want a paper trail of it. They knock on the door. Do you hear? Do you hear that you can switch affiliations, vote against Donald Trump, and then switch back and vote against the Republicans?
That's
it's a win-win.
College students sitting around getting high, being like, you know what we should do?
Dude, this genius, man. This fucking genius. I mean, it is genius.
Yeah.
It really is. It's shady as shit.
You'd have to have. I mean, it's got to be a movement, though.
Yeah, it's got to be like
10 kids isn't going to change anything.
Well, like they said, 3,500 people, 4,000 people in all of the state of New Hampshire. I don't know how many people vote in the primaries in New Hampshire, especially Democrats, but it's got to be a little bit bigger than that to make a huge difference.
Right.
But this sounds like some NED type stir shit up type shit. Like this was a game. This was game planned thing. This was part of the game plan, part of a bigger game plan that I'm just dying to see what comes out of this one. Because if they're starting with switch your registration, then what is it going to end with in November?
Oh, you know it's going to be big.
In November, they've got something up their sleeves. All right, number 2, weirdness in the primaries. We haven't discussed it much. We have mentioned it a couple times. Is they're so scared of Donald Trump that some states are disqualifying him from election ballots.
Yes.
Now, we have just 2 that I know of, Colorado and Maine. Didn't one of them, the Supreme Court's like, nah, you can't do that?
Yeah, I believe Colorado came back and said,
yeah. So this is from back in December. This was December 30th. So it says Donald Trump has been disqualified from 2 states' election ballots. Can he become president again? This is from indiapress.com. So this isn't even here. Says on Thursday, the state of Maine disqualified former U.S. President Donald Trump from appearing on the presidential primary ballot. The move effectively removed him as a choice for the state's voters. In selecting him as the Republican Party's candidate for the U.S. presidential election in 2024. Maine has now become the second state to remove Trump from its primary ballot. Colorado did the same earlier this month when its Supreme Court found him to be guilty of insurrection of a violent uprising. Now, I didn't realize he was on trial in Colorado for the Supreme Court to find him guilty.
Yeah. And as far as I know, he was never found guilty.
I didn't realize that a state could just stand up their Supreme Court and be like, he's guilty. We find him guilty. Was there a trial? Or did they just declare it?
I think they just declared it.
I declare bankruptcy. It ruled that he was disqualified from holding the office again. Trump said he would file an objection against the recent decision, terming it atrocious. He has so far been the front runner for the 2024 polls, ranking higher than incumbent President Joe Biden on voter surveys. What could these disqualifications mean for his candidacy? There's a bunch of shit over.
I noticed that.
There we go. First, Jesus Christ. I swear these are just places for ads that you accidentally click on. First, what is their insurrection charge against him? I don't think we need to read that. How is it different from other legal cases? Nope, don't need that. What does this case mean for Trump's prospects before November? Both Republicans and Democrats will hold their primaries in Colorado and 12 other states on March 5th, the biggest day of primaries in U.S. presidential election calendar, known as Super Tuesday. Trump's removal from 2 state primary ballots impacts his selection as the party candidate there. If the removal holds despite the legal challenge, Trump could be taken off the November ballot, where he will likely be pitted against Biden. Traditionally, voters in Colorado have chosen the Democratic Party candidate for president, so Trump's removal would not ultimately impact the election results or impact them at all whatsoever. However, the Associated Press reports that Trump won one of Maine's 4 electoral college votes in 2020 by winning the state's 2nd congressional district, indicating his ability to garner somewhat significant number of votes there. So we have that going on.
Yes. Do you think any other states are going to attempt it?
If they haven't by now, I don't say. I feel like there's going to be, if it's not like a specific blue state that probably wouldn't vote for him anyway, there'd be rioting in the streets.
Right. I agree.
Nobody wants rioting in the streets.
Yeah.
And all they are doing is just confirming Trump saying voter fraud, voter stolen elections, blah, blah. That's all they're fucking doing.
Yeah.
And by having their voters switch to the other side, you're just fueling Trump's ego. You're fueling that mindset of, well, they're going to do anything they can, because they're doing anything they can to keep him off the ballot.
Right. They're building on the legend, right?
Yeah, they're just feeding right into everything. They're giving him his 11th hour campaign speech. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if they throw him in jail for 5 minutes, they're going to, I mean, all this is just building his October-November campaign speech.
Right. Yeah.
And will probably push him into the spot more than hurt him.
Right.
Because all the states aren't going to keep him off the ballot.
No.
Absolutely not. The majority of them aren't going to keep him off the ballot. Absolutely not. So all it's doing is just inflaming his Trump's base that much more, making him out to be the martyr that he thinks he is and they think he is, and causing them to want to walk over glass for him that much more.
Yeah. Yeah. What? And did you hear, to add fuel to that fire, that his mother-in-law passed away this week?
Trump's?
Yes.
I did hear that.
And
which mother-in-law? Which
his current.
Okay.
And so his lawyer was trying to file a motion for a continuance so he could attend the funeral and stuff, and they denied him.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So he's been disqualified in some states. He's got people voting against him in some states. We got my final bit of shadiness that's going on, and this is, like I said, there is some early election conspiracy theories taking shape in our own state as we speak.
Nice.
This one is weird, and it doesn't involve Donald Trump.
Oh, weird.
I haven't read much of this because I wanted to kind of do it in real time, and I found it last minute too. I know kind of the gist of it, but it says, as voters head into the first in the nation election caucus or presidential caucus, recent allegations shared on X point to a conflict of interest in vote counting, but no specific wrongdoing is described. So here's the claim. It says, this is the first in a series of rapid research blogs. I don't care. It says, we now have seen one of the first electoral integrity conspiracy theories of the 2024 primary cycle. A number of accounts on X, formerly known as Twitter, are promoting a claim by conservative political activist Laura Loomer that a consultant allegedly hired by the Iowa Republican Party to assist with vote counting has ties to Governor Ron DeSantis.
Interesting.
So they're claiming that they hired in this consulting like vote counting group, which I don't know why they have to hire some outside vote counting group. But they're saying they have direct ties to Ron DeSantis, and they're going to rig the counting somehow and blah, blah, blah. Some of the claims are sourced and some are not, but the initial post alleges under a framing headline using the term conflict of interest. A person named Patrick Stewart was hired to oversee the process of counting the votes, and Stewart works for Red Oak Strategic. Presumably, Stewart was hired for data services around counting, though Loomer's post does not provide more information. Red Oak Strategic is owned by Mark Stevenson. Mark Stevenson is married to Ashley Rich Stevenson. Ashley Rich Stevenson is the president of Axe Advocacy, which is the lobbying shop of Axiom. Axiom is owned by Jeff Rowe, who was head of DeSantis Super PAC.
That's a hell of a rabbit hole.
That is a long, yarn string.
Who put this together?
It was posted by that something Loomer.
Oh, okay.
Laura Loomer.
Interesting.
I don't know if she's the one that put it together, but somebody connected the dots back from Patrick Stewart through 8 or 9 connection points back to Ron DeSantis' Super PAC.
6
now,
degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Now, isn't it? There's something where everybody's somehow connected.
That's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You can connect everybody within 6 people to Kevin Bacon somehow.
Okay, fair enough. The post goes on to make other assertions about Ashley Rich Stevenson's work history and public opinions. Later posts by Loomer and others on X elsewhere build on the rumor, asserting other connections of political figures to the company. A blog post by Loomer implies, for instance, that consulting fees paid by Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell might give him an early look at caucus results. Another Twitter notes that Red Oak is an Amazon Web Service partner, and after January 6, 2021, Amazon had deplatformed a number of services said to have housed violent content, supposed evidence of another biased participation. A familiar flurry of weak connections in a densely connected field. What are you doing over there?
I'm moving around.
Says whether these connections are correctly described by Loomer and others, we leave to others to pursue. As is often the case, the real question with election rumor is not whether the offered evidence is real, but whether, when the full facts are known, it can be said to support the claim for which it's advanced. Here, the larger claim is one we label on untrusted system claim, obviously, with the subtype corruption. I don't care about, like, they're really going to
they are.
scientific.
This is insane. I'm expecting that with that meme with all the lines drawn over and circle everything.
Such claims are common in election rumors. In fact, there was a similar set of claims at the last Iowa caucus in the Democrat caucus. In 2020, a piece of software from the unfortunately named Shadow Inc. Why the fuck would they name it Shadow Inc.? Was seen to be at the center of a delay in reporting Democrat caucus results. In that case, the app was alternately linked by supporters of Bernie Sanders to Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager, Robbie Mook, and Pete Buttigieg, in both cases using a variation of this game of connections. Corruption claims can have validity, but ones that have to hop through a series of relationships or suggest reality or relatively ordinary relationships are proof of corruption are generally weak. So this is just breaking down why this is not really that big of deal. But the initial claim with those like eight connection points leading back to Ron DeSantis is super PAC. Now the claim can be, you could say that about any Republican, really. It's just like, well, Ron DeSantis, well, this person back in 2020 voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, he is a Republican, and Ron DeSantis is also a member of the Republican Party. So this guy is clearly in connection with Ron DeSantis. Like they're in the same party. There's going to be at least 6 degrees of connection, 8 degrees of connection. This ain't even 6 degrees. Yeah, it's exactly 6 degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not a hard connection to make with anybody that's on the same party.
Right. And in our political system,
right,
I think you could tie anybody to each other.
Right. You got to do a better argument job than that. And looking at how DeSantis is doing right now in Iowa,
it didn't make a difference.
I don't think, even if he paid somebody, he's sitting at 20% over, unless his goal was, dude, I'm hiring you out to count the votes. Nobody's gonna believe that I beat Donald Trump. Just let me beat Nikki Haley. Then I can see that. I mean, he's sitting 1.8% points ahead of Nikki Haley right now. They're keeping it close, so there's not a lot
too close.
But Donald Trump's still sitting at 53.3% now. Donald Trump's still climbing. So I don't know what the goal was. If it was just to beat Nikki Haley by a couple
and
points,
maybe that's all you wanted.
Then fine. Yeah, maybe. But again, is there going to be that connection in any of the other states? Because as we mentioned, Iowa's not as big of a deal as Iowa makes themselves out to be. But if it's just, I need to stay in the race, can you make sure I stay in the race? Then sure, maybe. Is it like a Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders scandal going on here?
Right.
Fuck no. I think there's more to be said about the Shadow Inc. With the Democrats online app than there is, and I don't even know anything about that, but it's just the fact that it's called Shadow Inc. says
I know,
raises more suspicion for me than these 6 points of connection here.
No, it's definitely reaching.
I don't know. I feel like it's only going to get worse from here.
It is.
That's why I've been kind of dreading admitting that we're in voting season right now, because the only way this could get better is if it gets worse. It gets better for us if it gets so much shittier out there, because it gives us more
to talk about
and proves all our points.
My guess is that Haley and DeSantis are going to just tear each other apart for that second spot.
Probably, for the entire primaries series. But at the end of the day, it's not going to matter, because I don't see Donald Trump getting pulled from the ballot, which is their only shot.
Even if he's convicted of anything, he's not getting pulled.
No.
So
he could be the first person to win by write-in votes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his dying, glass-walking cult followers will fall right for it. They'll parade him to victory.
And I hate that, because how do you none of the candidates are they're not going to attack Trump.
No.
Right? Because they don't want to inflame his base.
They don't want to inflame his base, and they know there's no point in it right now to do that.
Right.
Even though at some point they're going to have to, because second place in Iowa might keep you in the ballot, but you got to, at the end of the day, beat out Trump to get like second place in the nation for the Republican Party gets you nowhere.
Yeah.
Last place, maybe a shoo-in for his vice president seat, but
and I think if anybody legitimately tried to take Trump on, they could win.
Maybe none of them are trying to take Trump on because they hope that he'll pick them for vice president.
That's horrible.
And if they say anything bad about him, he's going to be that nasty woman or whatever.
That Floridian transgender hater.
So now, as it sits, who's going to win Iowa? Well, we obviously know Trump's going to win. Who do you think? Do you think Vivek's going to sweep? Do you still think Vivek has a shot at sweeping in to take second place?
No.
He's at 7.6% now.
No, he's climbing.
He's gone up 0.4 or 0.5% points since the second half started.
No, I don't see that. I think he's going to remain in fourth.
Yeah, I don't see him breaking 8%.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem.
And I wonder if, because I had put something out on social media like, hey, I'm looking at Vivek. What is there? Anybody else? And it was my uncle who had come out and was like, well, he's a plant by Soros. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's taking Soros money. And so I looked into it, and apparently he accepted a Soros scholarship to get into college back when he was a youngin.
Now, I don't know how much that's true. I do know and you were watching a video that, like, basically anybody who's not Donald Trump is a Soros plant. So you can say that probably about, and he's a billionaire. He's bumped shoulders with, I don't even know.
That. I mean, remember he was claiming that Ted Cruz's dad had something to do with Kennedy's assassination.
He probably did. I mean, it's Cuba.
Right.
Obviously.
Well, they're all related.
Exactly. So who do you think takes second place? You think Haley does or DeSantis does? Because they're still really tight.
Yeah, they're close. I'm going to go with, I hate to say it, but I think Haley's going to take second.
Think so?
Yeah.
Do you think, does New Hampshire correct what happens here in Iowa? Does New Hampshire vote somebody other than Donald Trump? Because, like we've seen in the past, we pointed out, they so fervently pointed out that Iowa has not correctly picked the Republican nominee that many times.
I could see New Hampshire going with Haley.
Think so?
Yeah, they seem more like an establishment state.
I could, yeah, maybe. I haven't seen New Hampshire's polling.
Yeah.
I feel like Donald Trump's going to win every Republican state that he's on the ballot for.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it. Do I want that to happen? No.
Yeah.
I just see it happening.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on the general ballot? You still go, even after all this, you think it's going to be Trump and whoever replaces Joe Biden when he gets taken out?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, I do too. Who do you think that's going to be? We've talked about this before. Who's going to be the 11th hour?
I still think it's going to be Michelle.
You think so?
I do. I think she's going to sweep in.
I think Michelle is going to be the first transgender presidential nominee.
I do. I think it's...
And she won't even be nominated.
Yeah.
It'll be like, well, we don't even have time for nomination process. Right. Here's Michelle Obama. And people are going to be like, oh, yay.
Yeah. And be like, oh, thank God she's here.
Does Michelle Obama beat Donald Trump?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I think if anybody has a chance, it's Michelle Obama in the 11th hour. Not Michelle Obama campaigning, but Michelle Obama in the 11th hour.
I think Michelle she's not as divisive as Hillary, but I still think that she leaves a bad taste in people's mouths.
Sure, but I think it would garner a ton of excitement.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Much more than Joe Biden does. Yeah. But for some reason, they couldn't put Michelle up against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
But they will certainly replace Joe Biden with Michelle, even though Michelle would absolutely, hands down, beat Joe Biden.
Oh, absolutely.
But that would also negate everything they've been saying about Joe Biden for the last 4 years of how popular he's been, and they don't trust those polls, and he's really doing a better job. They throw anybody else in that's anybody, they just they'll polish the floor. And why do you think the only person running against Joe Biden right now is some self-help guru?
Right. Yeah.
It's because anybody would mop the floor with Joe Biden, and then we'd have to look at it and be like, well, I thought he was so popular all these years.
Yeah.
What happened?
Record-breaking votes last time,
Yeah.
right?
What the fuck happened?
Votes. Yeah.
Like, have you been lying to us?
Right.
And so they have to do like an 11th hour switcheroo where they throw in this other person that they know has a better shot than Joe Biden does, but they couldn't admit that they were wrong or lying for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's going to happen.
Yep. I agree.
I still have those things in there.
That's funny.
That's all I want to talk about for this entire election cycle, to be honest.
So are we gonna like hit each primary? Or are we maybe Super Tuesday?
Yeah, dude, maybe Super Tuesday. I can't do each.
No,
you can't do that to me.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to. If I'm hoping now that they're done with Iowa, I don't have to get any more texts or
you'll
phone
get them
calls.
all. You'll get
that would suck.
all of them. That's all I got. You got anything? Final thoughts on the Iowa caucus?
No surprises.
Are we going to bend over and take it up?
I mean, do we have a choice?
Josh Smith
is
our choice.
Yes, and he is from Iowa.
And I still want to have his babies. Josh, let me have your babies.
There's Craig's endorsement.
Yes. Vote for Josh Smith. I want to have his babies. That's my endorsement. On that note, make sure you check us out all over the social medias. You can find us at our handle at Break the Bell Pod. You can buy our shit at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Otherwise, be back here next week. Hopefully this cold is gone. I think by this time next week it's going to be
37 fucking degrees next week.
It's going to be fucking amazing. I'm
and
gonna be
rainy.
out in shorts.
And rainy. If the snow's still here, we're fucked.
I will be out in shorts. Absolutely. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on that warm, blessed day next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Don't miss it. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your ear holes. And as always, never stop talking.